not even going to try to say good evening because I don't know if I can follow that. But good evening. It is my honor tonight to have been asked to introduce tonight's keynote speaker. I've had the opportunity to get to know Cleveland for the past 10 seasons with the London Majors. Since his debut with the Majors in 2010, he has not only laid claim to some of the Intercounty Baseball League and London Majors' most prestigious awards, but also the hearts of the London Majors' entire organizations, both fans, players, and staff alike. I've gotten to know him through some of the pennant wins, disappointing losses, batting titles, leadership, celebrations, and different clothing sizes along the way. When he started back in 2010, he started his baseball career in Canada by leading the IBL in home runs and progressed to later laying claim to the all-time London Majors home run title, and most recently was named as one of the league's top 100 players of all time. His baseball life in the States wasn't without acclaim as well, including being the all-time leader for home runs at Clark Atlanta University, where he earned his bachelor's degree in business marketing. But the big dog from Georgia seemed to become a fixture of the landscape in our game north of the border. I'm fairly certain we'll be fishing home run balls out of the River Thames long after we've moved on from the game. I think the London Majors co-owner Scott Dart is in the crowd. That man has had to spend more money on baseballs because of Cleveland than any owner should have to. Now, paling in comparison to his baseball awards, of which there are so many, were his awards and recognition in the community. He's worked with so many community foundations, including the London Abused Women's Center, the Optimist Challenge Baseball Association, Sunshine Foundation. He's worked with special needs students at Saunders High School. He's helped out with the Chorus Radiothon, the Children's Aid Society. He's even helped hide Easter eggs at Westmount Mall with the London Majors annual event there every year, although we've never seen him squeeze into the Easter Bunny costume. Cleveland is a humble guy, and he can't say no to anybody. One of the images for me when thinking of Cleveland Brownlee is on Canada Day, we have a typically bigger than usual crowd, and there's some downtime after the game between when the game ends and when the fireworks begin. And there's a lot of kids and fans that will come down onto the field to get autographs. And there's always a few fans that can't make their way down onto the field because of different issues, mobility issues or whatnot. And we'll always come down and ask a few players to come up and make sure that they feel included and special too. Cleveland is always the first guy up the steps. Cleveland is the guy going around rounding up the rest of the players to come up the steps. Cleveland is also the guy that the fans are clamoring to see as well. You can't think of a better example for our community, both on the field, off the field, and an example for the next generation of youth. He's a humble guy, not just a special athlete, but a pillar of the community. We're very fortunate to have him here with us tonight to share his important and inspirational message. Ladies and gentlemen, Cleveland Brownlee.
.586, 191, 57, 45. Now let me read this to you one more time. 586, 191, 57, 45. No, ladies and gentlemen, these are not jersey numbers or baseball stats. DeKalb County, Georgia, where I grew up. Just a city on the outskirts of Atlanta, Georgia. About 20 minutes away from Hartsville, Atlanta, Jackson Airport. 586 assaults, 191 burglaries, 57 robberies, and 47 arrests, all in January of this year. 89, 16, 8, 42. Now let me tell you the significance of these numbers. 89% African American high school graduation rate in DeKalb County. 16 black firefighters that broke the color barrier in Atlanta in 1963. 8 black officers that broke the color barrier in 1948. 42, the number that Jackie Robinson wore when he opened doors for kids like me. Now, you said you wanted to get to know Cleveland. So to get to know Cleveland, you have to know where I'm from. So to Officer Anthea and the wonderful people who organized this event, and the committee who deemed all my community service worthy of having me be the keynote speaker tonight, thank you guys. I promise I will try my best not to get emotional tonight, but I've been waiting a long time to tell my story. I know y'all told me to keep it short, but not a chance to. You're about to get 100% of who Cleveland Brownlee really is. Not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great. Because greatness is determined by service. I ask you, the audience, name this quote. Name who wrote this quote. Life's persistent and most urgent question is, what are we doing for others? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Montgomery, Alabama, 1952. Who said this? You might be bigger than me and your mama, but I'm too old to fight you. Remember, you have to go to sleep. Cleveland Brownlee Sr. Thank you all for coming out today. I feel honored to be in the presence of each and every one of you here. Right now, this moment feels so surreal. You know, I always dreamed of that day of being in front of a crowd and being able to walk on this stage. But today, I'm here in living proof, and hopefully by the end of this message, I can inspire at least one person in this crowd. I wanted to take time first and dedicate this to my grandmother, Ida Mae Asbury, grandfather Tommy Lee Asbury, and grandmother Grace Brownlee. I wish you guys could see me now. We always sat and talked, and you pushed me to do better, told me to leave Atlanta and grow, told me to leave Atlanta and grow. We shared those special prayer cloths that, and if anybody from the South, you know, we had a pastor on TV named Reverend Ike, and he sold special prayer cloths. My grandmother would always order those month after month. So we sat there those nights, and we shared those same prayer cloths and prayer oils and everything. You know, you told me that I was a special gift to my parents, and that one day I would be an inspiration to others. Well, grandmother, here we are. We finally got that big stage that me and you were praying for. I told you that if I get the chance, I was going to let it all shine. Now let me tell you guys about my grandparents. See, Ida Mae, she was the mother of 8 kids, and 7 of them were girls and 1 boy. She was the grandmother of 14 grandkids and over 20 great-grandkids. Now, she just wasn't our ordinary grandmother. To us, she was Big Mother's house. So I still remember every Sunday going down there to Big Mama's house, and you know, she stayed right up the street from me, and she would cook those meals, and you know, everybody would be sitting around the dinner table and everything, and that was just the way it was in the South. Everybody would come around and gather, and we did those big meals. Everybody wanted to see each other, and my grandmother made sure that she kept all of us together. I remember all the kids playing in the yard, and it wasn't like we could run in and out of the house. She made us stay outside and drink from the water hose. You didn't come back inside once you were out. And I can remember sitting there, and if you guys ever been to the South, you know that our game is spades. So everybody sits around the table. So I can just take back those memories of everybody sitting around the table and saying that just waiting on my uncle yelling out to his partner that they had a saying down there that if you kill my dog, I'm gonna kill your cat. That's what they yelled at each other across the spade table. That was letting them know that don't cut my partner's cards because I got his back. So, and man, I miss those days. Now, I want to tell y'all something. It's not about me, but it's about me. I'm gonna say that one more time. It's not about me, but it's about me. See, I still remember waking up those early mornings with Tommy Lee Asbury. That was my grandfather. He had those chickens out there. So he had about 5 or 6 chickens that he would make us go out there and get the eggs and everything. And you know what? I really wasn't a big fan of going out there and getting eggs and everything. Then my grandfather had this big old Doberman Pinscher out there, and he would always make me go feed him, knowing I was scared of that dog. That was the meanest dog I ever had. But you know what? My grandfather pushed me out there. He says, you're gonna feed that dog. See, I grew up 7 houses down from my grandparents, so it wasn't much of a thing with sleeping in. Now, Tommy Lee had us up early in the morning, cutting grass, and Tommy Lee, he wasn't a big man. He was about 5'7", but my grandfather, he was one of those men that you didn't say anything wrong. He was quick to pull off his ball cap and hit you with the bill. I mean, see, Tommy Lee didn't play that, and everybody knew that. See, once again, that it wasn't all about me, but at the end, it was about me. See, growing up closely with your grandparents, you learn quickly that there was no disrespect. You knew that whatever you got, you'd be happy with it. And if someone older said something to him, you replied with yes, sir, or a no, sir, or a yes, ma'am, or a no, ma'am. See, it didn't take but one person from that neighborhood to say that they saw you doing something wrong, and you knew by the end of the day, or the end of that week, you had to go see Grandma Ida Mae or Tommy Lee, and they were going to deal with you. See, grandmother, me and you had a special bond. I came back from Canada my first year, and you were so proud of me. I remember the first time that we FaceTimed each other, and you kept looking around the house thinking that I was in there, because you had never seen a camera before. And grandmother, I remember holding your hand when you took that last breath in that room, and it was just me and you. And you told me that you didn't want to go to sleep because you were scared that you were going to wake up the next morning. Well, Grandmama Ida Mae, you never went to sleep. You're still here with me today. So thank you for everything you did. You made me. So you never went to sleep, Grandma. I carry you every day in my heart. Now, sorry about that. Now, Grace Brownlee, yeah, you would think a woman named Grace, it wouldn't be so tough inside. Remember, her name was Grace. She was one of the toughest grandmothers I ever seen. See, in the South, we were all raised as one. Grace was the mother of 13 children, 40 grandkids, and over 60 great-grandkids. See, try raising all those kids in the middle of the poorest community in the city of Atlanta. Imagine feeding all those people at Thanksgiving and Christmas. But you know what? We found a way to do it. She showed everyone tough love. See, Grace Brownlee, she wasn't that grandmother that wanted to give you a hug and a kiss to say how you doing. Grace wasn't like that. She wanted everybody to come in and she wanted to go outside and with her grandkids and jump rope or play family kickball game together. See, she was the grandmother that played her lottery tickets each and every day. And when her number didn't fall, she was the one that yelled at the TV, "You damn devil." You know, so see, on that side of the family, all my cousins, they were very tough. So on that side, I couldn't show no weakness. They grew up in the rough side of Atlanta, so I couldn't show no weakness on that side. And you know what? I couldn't let them see me hanging under my grandmother. But Grandmama Grace, me and you, we left off on a touchy note as well. You had just found out that my dad was going to rent a van and bring you and my cousins up here to see me play. Grandmother, you never told me you were sick. I know I stayed gone chasing my dream a lot, but I wanted nothing more than to see you in those stands, seeing them call my name out with my name on the back of that jersey, running out on that field. See, it's not about me, but it's about me. See, you never gave us any warning about anything. You just prepared us to make it no matter what. Whatever anybody threw in front of us, you prepared us to make it out. See, my grandparents, they were raised in the South. We were the true meaning of it takes a village to raise a family. See, they didn't go to school to get no fancy education or play baseball or anything like that, or hopefuls of traveling the world in the South. See, people go to school today to be artists, or they go to school to make sculptures and make big head busts of people and things like that. I didn't go to school for that either. So tonight, I want to bring Grandmama Grace and Ida Mae back to life through my voice. See, you guys molded me. You molded me to become from that little black kid running around in Atlanta to this man you see here today. You instilled that love in me that gives me the strength to keep going, the courage to prove them wrong, the wisdom to know when to walk away, and the skill to trust and believe that God has a bigger picture for me. Now, by the end of this speech today, I hope that I can encourage each and every one of you, from the people today that I'm meeting for the first time, to my friends that are here, my teammates, co-workers, to my employees, and most important, my family, to ask yourself the question I opened up with. What am I doing for others? I didn't make it here on my own. Not one day goes by that I'm thankful for each person that has helped me in one form or another. Now, they didn't give me an hour to sit here and name everybody. So if I don't mention your name tonight, just rest assured that you still made a positive impact on my life one way or another. Now, my father, Cleveland Brownlee. Now, let me tell you guys about this man here. First of all, Dad, I know you couldn't be here tonight, but you know what? They wanted to come, but I asked them not to. I wanted to send this to them in a special way. So thank you for being an amazing dad to us all. They say God don't make no mistakes. You were blessed with my youngest brother, Coray Brownlee, who was born with a form of autism and Down syndrome that when you meet him, his smile will make you love him even more to this day. You know, you always found a way to make me and everyone else around you very happy. You always put yourself above everyone else just to make sure that they had a smile on their face. Every time I see you and my son to this day, it still breaks me down just to see that you were that dad that was there for us. See, Cleve was a different type of person, and I'm gonna take y'all back to a story. And me and him, he says, I'm your dad, but we're like best of friends. See, my dad was that guy that cheered me on. He worked as much as he could until that job ran out. And my dad would work overnight shifts and still make it to all my ball games, whether we played in town, out of town, to any tryouts and everything I wanted to pursue. See, but my dad, he was that fan that would sit on the other side of the stadium, and he would sit with the visiting team, and he would sit there and get in the pictures here and say, yeah, that kid over there, throw him a fastball or something, he probably can't hit it. And I'm looking at him and I always say, Dave, isn't that your dad? I'm like, yeah, that's my dad. He would sit on that other side and he would cheer those guys on, and he would say, when my son gets up there, just throw it past him. If you want to, just hit it. I never understood why he did that. And my dad was that type of person that if I got up there and I struck out or something, and we had to ride home together, so I heard about it in the car. How you missed that pitch? Like that, well, you probably told him to throw it to me. That was just the way my dad was, and I'm thankful for that. Each and every day, I'm still thankful for that. You know what? My dad made me a stronger person and all. Just doing those little things there, he made me a stronger person. Now remember, my dad was raised by tough Grace Brownlee. My dad would always tell me a story of his life, but I looked at it as a motivational lesson. He would always tell me when I asked for money that his mom raised 13 of them in one house, and rent was $2 to $3 per month, and they were still late on the rent. We laugh now, but I grew up watching my mom and dad work hard to get the things we had. They are the ones who truly inspire me. But let me throw a little twist at you guys now. See, my dad grew up without a father in his home. He lived in government housing, so before 1965 in Atlanta, Georgia, you couldn't have a man staying in your house. The government decided that they were not going to support and take care of a man. So imagine 13 of them in the house with no father. They didn't have the money to do anything. So like my father and the rest of the people in that community, they all sat around to the end of the month waiting on their government checks to come in or waiting on that government food to come in. Because with 13 kids, how can you work? I asked my dad the other day, I said, Dad, well, when did you see your dad? He said, I saw him in passing. We saw each other if we went out to eat or something. He said, but during that time, we were going through all the racial issues, and my mama couldn't lose everything for letting my dad come over and visit or spend the night. So it wasn't worth him coming over there. So imagine being raised like that. Imagine all the things that you had to endure during that time. Like I said, my dad went to segregated schools and everything. So going in the South, I always tell people race is a little bit different. our cloth is cut just a little bit different because of some of the things that we see today. You know? Now, I still remember my dad waking us up at 7 a.m. in the morning. And, you know, it's a Saturday morning, and as a kid, you're out of school. You don't want to wake up at Saturday morning that early, but he would always make us go over to my neighbor's yard, and she was an elderly woman. Her name was Eddie Mae. And he would make me cut the limbs on those trees and cut her backyard. And one thing about it, my dad didn't stay in the best of neighborhoods. And the grass wasn't that big, guys, but he still made me push that little lawn 2 or 3 times. And I still didn't understand, Dad, just cut the grass. It's not like it's big and anything. It takes 10 minutes. But we would stay out there for hours pushing that same yard over and over and making sure everything was perfect and cutting those limbs down. And then as soon as I finished that, I don't think I'm done for the day, but he would walk us 2 houses down, and we would cut Miss Liz's grass, and Miss Liz would only give us 50 cents and told us don't spend it all at the same time. But see, it all makes sense now. My dad was showing me that we do things not because we must, but because we can do them and help others. I don't think Miss Liz even knew my name to this day. See, Miss Liz lived 2 houses down, and in that neighborhood, it was no such thing as a security system or anything. So Miss Liz had burglar bar doors up, and she would open that door just enough to reach out and yell at you or give you that 50 cents. To this day, I've never seen the inside of Miss Liz's house. And she was a retired school teacher, and she always said the smartest comments to us all, but you had to love her because her name was Miss Liz. And, you know, still to this day, I always tell the story to people, but, you know, I never told it to my dad that Miss Liz would always call me and say, hey, Cleve's little boy, come over here and go down the street and get my groceries. And she would only give me just enough. Miss Liz was a smart woman, and she would only give me just enough, so it wasn't no change, anything left over. She would send me down the street to go get her groceries. But excuse me what I'm saying, but that wasn't the best of neighborhoods. And to this day, my dad still don't know that I ran down into that store because I knew at the bottom of the hill, excuse me, but those boys were there to whoop my ass. Because I wasn't from that neighborhood, and they knew it. So it's either you run in there and get your groceries and get out of here, or they was gonna make an example. I would have to figure out a way to get Miss Liz groceries back, so you had to be pretty fast to get away from them. So, but see, once again, it's not about me, but it's about me. While I was asking for new Jordans in high school, my dad had one friend in his whole project whose family had a TV. And see, his father worked at Sears, and they gave him the TV for free. But see, I'm gonna throw a twist at it. They gave him the TV for free, but to play that TV, you had to drop a quarter in, and then you only got 2 hours of television. And Sears would come back on the weekend and collect all those quarters. So imagine being in the ghetto and you wanted to watch TV. You worked all week just to get that quarter to watch 2 hours of TV. Then you knew come Saturday morning they were coming back to collect that quarter that you worked for. See, it all makes sense now why my dad was teaching me those lessons. See, growing up, I always wanted to do better or just be better. I always dreamed of becoming a professional baseball player or going to college and getting that degree. Living in that big house with that picket fence and a boat that I could take everyone fishing. Or having a plot of land that I could host family reunions or have a picnic in for the neighborhood. See, Cleve showed me tough love, but Rosanna gave me the love and comfort that I needed. See, my mom raised all of us and tons of more kids in my house. See, Rosanna was a nurse at the local hospital. And my mom would always meet these young ladies that had babies or they couldn't afford the babies or, you know what, honestly, they just didn't want the kids because they were having them at a young age. And some of them were just a few days old we had growing up in our house until my mother either helped them get on their feet or one of my aunts adopted the kids. So a lot of my cousins to this day, my mom actually brought home from hospitals. I have so much respect for her. My mom had a big heart, and sometimes I think that's where I kind of got my heart from my mom for doing things like that. See, it wasn't about me, but it was really about me. See, my mom loved everyone and didn't care where you came from or what you had. She knew she was going to find a way to feed your child or get you to a happy home. See, my mom refused to let a child go into the system. Her heart was just too big for that. And like I like I said, I hope that one day I can have a heart that size to do the things that my mother did. So thank you to my parents for always making me go to school and pushing me to be the best I can in sports and making it sure that education came first. Dad, thank you for those extra hours of practice that we would do after I had just finished practicing school all day. Thank you for allowing me to fall in love with baseball. I was my parents' first child to go to college and graduate with a marketing degree from Clark Atlanta University. Now, I know a lot of you might not have heard of Clark Atlanta University, but we're one of the top schools in the nation under the historically black college and universities umbrella. See, where tuition was around $28,000 a month, but yet we still sat in the heart of the ghetto of Atlanta. We're a private institution that prides itself on our motto, and I take that with me everywhere I go. Our motto was, find a way or make one. To my college professors, you guys helped mold me into becoming the great person I am today and prepare me for the real world. Now, I always tell this story of one of the college professors that really truly touched me. See, she was my college professional speech teacher. So I still remember the first day of class, we all got in that room and we stood up. And everybody was telling where they're from. So I heard people say I'm from New York, or I'm from Texas, or I'm from Alabama. So when she got to me, I stood up and I said, my name's Cleveland Brownlee, and I'm from down the street. She looked at me, oh, why did I say that? For weeks on in and weeks on out, every day I walked into that class, she made me stand up and recite where I was from. See, she made me stand up and recite where was I from. See, I didn't know what she was doing. She was really breaking down my southern accent and made me pronounce all of my words. See, if you ever met someone born and raised in Atlanta, then you know we have our own southern language that only we understand, and it's hard to break down to people. So, you know, I'm gonna let us try it one time. So we have a phrase back home that we say, all right? Everybody say that with me one time. All right. Now, that can be broken down in multiple ways, meaning, hey, are you okay? Or what you looking at? You got a problem with me? Or thank you. It was my pleasure for helping you out. So now when I say that to you guys, it'll keep you guessing to see which one I'm really. But to Miss Edie, thank you for helping our young kids like me understand that you will not always be in Atlanta and always believing in me, saying that I wasn't like other students, that I had something special about me, and I had a heart to be the best I can be and not be afraid to fail. Now, along my journey, I have met people from all walks of life. Here I am standing in what I see as a prestigious group of people, all interested in my journey from Atlanta. Now I want to change it up. Just being me, I want to change it up just a little, if you don't mind. I want to change it up and show how some of you guys in the audience impacted why I'm standing here today. Now in 2010, freshly released from Pro Ball, I had bounced around from Chicago to Texas, all the way down to a small town named Alexandria, Louisiana. And you know what, I had kept getting released and bouncing around, living out a suitcase. It was the life I was having fun. I still remember that last time getting released, and I went back home to my dad. That was the longest ride home, but my dad was still so proud. I still remember that picking up that job with my dad, and you know what, my cell phone bill had got cut off, and I had just paid my cell phone bill, and I got a call. And on the other end was a man named Dwayne. Now, I didn't know Dwayne, never heard from Dwayne, but the funny thing is, he called from an unknown number. Now, if you know people in Atlanta, we don't answer unknown numbers. It's a bill collector or somebody playing a joke. So when I answered that phone call and it was Dwayne on the other end, he says, Cleveland, I heard a lot about you, and the guy told me that you just needed a chance. So he said, I charge $300 to be your agent. He said, you're gonna be my first client. And I charge $300 to find you somewhere to play. I said, well, Dwayne, I'm at a position in my life that I don't have $300 to just give me, and I don't know you. And he said, well, let's do this, Cleveland. If I find you somewhere to play, will you promise to give me that $300? And I told him right there, I promised to give you that $300. A few days went by, and you know what, I didn't hear back from him. I didn't know if the guy was playing or anything. And he called me back and said, Cleve, I have a place for you to go. You want to go to London and play baseball? My first reply was, no, I'm not going to London, England. He says, no, Cleveland, London, Ontario, Canada. Second reply, no, it's too cold there. I don't know anybody. He said, Cleve, give it a chance. He said, one of your buddies is actually going with you from college. I called him and we talked about it, and you know what? From that conversation, me and him got so excited. We were happy to come here and play. And you know, I still didn't believe that it was a such place called London, Ontario, Canada. You know, I had to research it and look it up. And when I looked at the first picture on the page, it was a picture of an old guy playing baseball. I'm like, definitely not going there, but let's give it a try. So, you know, I was happy to go there. I called Dwayne and I said, Dwayne, thank you, you're an honest man. And I gave Dwayne that $300. You know, and on that other end, I spoke to a guy and he wasn't able to make it today. He's a busy man, but his name was Roop Shandadai on that other end. I spoke to him. And to this day, me and Roop still have a special bond. And if you guys don't know Roop, he's one of the busiest men in the world, but he has a big heart. Roop opened up his house to me and said, you come in and you're like family. Roop, I have so much respect for you. You know, you were that first coach that gave me that chance, that allowed me to fall back in love with baseball again. Allowed me to come in and have fun and be the person I was being. Even if I was that jerk that when I hit that home run, I flipped the bat and the person behind me got hit just so they make an example or they let them know Cleve's not going to keep doing that to us. But you know what, Roop? You allowed me to keep doing it. So to Roop, Scott Dart is here tonight, thank you guys. I owe you a lot. You know, you guys allowed me to become the face of your franchise. You guys don't know what that means to me and my family. So thank you guys. There's another guy I see out here tonight, and you know what, this guy, he still to this day don't know what he did for me. You know what, growing up as a kid, you always think that, man, I would love a statue or a billboard. If you guys don't know, he's sitting in the audience back here somewhere. I saw him, Ken Suchan. He's the owner of Domino's Pizza. Ken didn't only give me one billboard. Ken gave me 6 billboards. Ken didn't just do it 1 year. Ken did it 2 years. Thank you, Ken. I really appreciate you doing that for me. You just don't know that seeing those other guys when they came into Labatt Park to play us and they had to ride over that Adelaide Street Bridge and they had to look at my face smiling. You know, that changed the aspect of a lot of things. You know, I still remember Ken giving me that call that Sunday morning. Me and my son were at home and Ashley was at work, so it was just me and him sitting there. And he called me and he said that, he says, Cleve, come down to the new place. I got something to talk to you about. I want you to help me do some community service projects. I said, yeah, no problem. So I just slip on some jogging pants and stuff and go down there. And when I get there, I see a lot of familiar faces. I'm like, oh, Ken's having a grand opening or something. I get there and I open up the door. Ken has a mural of me on his wall in the new Domino's at York Street. Ken, every time somebody comes into town, that's the first stop we make. My mom carries that picture on her phone to this day, and she shows it. Ken, thank you. I owe you. Thank you. You changed my life by putting me on that big screen. So thank you. It's a couple more people here that I really want to point out and everything, and just do it real quickly. I know really getting my time to the Zafman family. There, you guys were the first billet family that I ever had. Thank you. You guys introduced me to the double big man. To my buddies I had Adam. You guys just don't know how you changed my life. You guys opened up your house for me, Ashley, and my son. You guys are like family to me. So thank you guys. To some of my employees here, thank you. To Mike, he's my right-hand man at the job. Thank you for going with me and battling through everything. I know they couldn't be here tonight, the Sifton family. Thank you guys for allowing me to be the first athlete to ever grace the cover of your magazine. That really meant a lot to me. And to these two people, I know I'm running out of time, but these two people I have to name. My old boss, Kevin Still, and my Uncle Warren. Thank you two guys for giving me that recipe. And when I say that recipe, they gave me that recipe to keep going, to build myself and keep going and to make me successful in this business today. So thank you guys. To To my beautiful family here with me today, to Cleveland and Ashley. You know, every day that I wake up, I do this for you guys. Every day I walk out there on that field, I'm praying for my family. That name on my back, I wear that for you guys. I go to work every day to make sure you guys don't have nothing to worry about. So thank you guys for putting up with everything. To the London Police Department and Sergeant Louis Coray, you asked me to be the keynote speaker here tonight at this Black History Month. Mr. Coray, thank you for making a path for kids like me to come from different countries and impact the lives of Londoners. I couldn't imagine, coming here and impact those Londoners. I couldn't imagine the trials and tribulations that you occurred in your life. No amounts of history books or lessons could ever show us some of the things you've seen in your lifetime. Now, I know it's a couple officers here that I know personally tonight, so I wanted to reach out to them. Heather, Ryan, and Staff Sergeant Price. I want you guys to know that at one time around here, it was a time that they whispered names in the community like Bud Coray. But now I want you guys to know that right now your name is spoken loud in this community. You guys wear that uniform proud, and you make a lot of people around here look up to you guys. So thank you guys for being who you are and continue to be a role model for not just the African, Caribbean, and Black community, but for everybody. So thank you guys for that. I thank all of you guys if you sat here tonight and listened to what I had to say. Before I leave you tonight, see, this wasn't about me, but it's about me. From my grandparents to my dad, see, all those little lessons that were made, they were really about me. But through all the awards and recognitions I have accumulated over the past couple of years, my biggest award was Cleveland Junior. I'm going to tell you that for my son, I'm going to put it back on the crowd for 1 second and say, oh, what have you done for others? So to my son, this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to tell you that you can be anything in the world you desire to be, that you are able to overcome any obstacle thrown in front of you. I'm going to wake you up on those early mornings to go help out our neighbors and cut their grass and trim those hedges and things like that. I will always believe in you as my parents believed in me, and I promise to teach you and lead you the best way I can. You will face many obstacles in your life, but when your back's against the wall, we're going to knock a hole in the other side and be able to come about it. See, son, it won't be about me soon. It's going to be about you. I'm not perfect, but I promise to help others as much as I can. I promise to keep a smile on my face and say hi to everyone that I pass. Now, as I close out tonight, I'm going to bring you back to that same question. What are you doing for others? As a London community, let's all work together to build that structure for our upcoming future generations to come. There's no such thing as a limit to how much you can help someone. Let's help our kids open these doors of opportunity that were not there for some of us. There will be a great challenge to these kids to be prepared when those doors do open. So I encourage all the kids in the room here tonight. Let's open our eyes and let's see the obvious. Don't drop out of school. Why? Because you need an education to be successful in this world today. Listen to your parents. Why? Because they're the ones who love you. They're the ones who clothe you. They're the ones who feed you. So listen to everything they have to say. In spite of all the things that will be thrown at you, I'm living proof that you write your own blueprint to life. Aim for what you want in life and allow yourself time to shine. Now I promise I'm going to leave y'all with this last quote from Dr. King. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or fail. Be the best at whatever you are. Thank you guys for having me tonight, and I really appreciate you guys sitting here listening.